Hello everyone and welcome to Sally and Bytes. Today, I am here to teach Chapter 5, Conditional and Looping Constructs Part 1, for the Class 11 students of Computer Science. In this video, we are going to discuss about the types of statements in Python, program control flow, uses of indentation, conditional statements, if statement, if-else statement, if-elif-else statement, nested if-elif-else statement and practical implementation. So let's dive in and get started. In the previous videos, we learned that Python executes one statement after another in a program following a sequential way. All these statements are executed by the Central Processing Unit, CPU. We will now focus on the logic unit which makes a computer think, so we need to write the code. In real-life scenario, let's take an example of traffic light control. The lights cycle through different colors, red, green, and yellow, based on predefined timing rules. The loop continues indefinitely, ensuring smooth traffic. When designing programs, there are often points where a decision must be made. This decision is known as selection and is implemented in programming using if statements. Selection is a decision or question. At some point, a program may need to ask a question because it has reached a step where one or more options are available. Depending on the answer given, the program will follow a certain step and ignore the others. Selection allows there to be more than one path through a program. In this second example, in the roller coaster entrance, if-else condition is used here. If front row, queue here, else if all other rows queue here. Here, we will discuss about the statements in Python. A statement is a logical instruction which is executed while running a program. Statements are the instructions given to the computer to perform any kind of action. A statement is a line of code that performs a specific action or task. It is the smallest unit of code that can be executed by the interpreter. A statement in Python can be an assignment statement, a function call, a loop statement, a conditional statement, or any other valid Python expression. Statements are categorized into three types: empty statement, simple statement, compound statement. Let's learn one by one in detail. An empty statement in Python is a statement that does nothing. Empty statements are used when the syntax of the language requires a statement to be present, but you don't want to execute any code. The pass keyword in Python is used to represent an empty statement. The pass statement does nothing and is used as a placeholder when a statement is required syntactically, but you don't want to execute any code. It is a null operation. Syntax is for condition_1: pass. Let's see an example. In a for loop, you might use pass to indicate that there is no code to be executed in the loop body. In this example, this code creates a loop that will iterate I through the numbers 0 to 9, but it doesn't execute any code within the loop body. It's a way to structure a loop when you want to define the loop structure but postpone writing the actual code that should be executed within the loop. In Python, a simple statement is a statement that performs a single action or command. It usually consists of a single line of code and ends with a new line character. Any single executable statement is a simple statement in Python. For example, name equals input of enter your name. Print name. This is a simple statement, just inputting a name and printing the name. Some examples of simple statements include assignment statements, assigning a value to a variable, such as x equals 10. Expression statements, evaluating an expression, such as x equals 2 plus 3. Function call statements, calling a function with arguments, such as print, hello, world. Import statements, importing a module or package, such as import math. Return statements, returning a value from a function, such as return x * y. Simple statements can be combined to form more complex statements and control structures, such as loops and conditionals. In Python, a compound statement is a statement that consists of one or more simple statements, grouped together with a block of code. The block of code is defined by indentation, which is typically for spaces or one tab. A compound statement represents a group of statements executed as a unit. Compound statements are used to create control structures such as loops, conditionals, functions, and classes. Syntax is compound statement header, multiple simple statements or compound statements indented at same level. Here, the header line starts with the keyword and ends at colon. The body consists of more than one simple Python statement or compound statement. Here is an example of a function definition. Def greet, name, print, hello, plus name plus exclamation point. This compound statement defines a function called greet that takes a parameter name. The block of code within the function will execute when the function is called. Let's discuss about the program control flow. The order of execution of the statements in a program is known as flow of control. Flow of control means to determine the next statement to be executed. The control and flow of a program can be classified into three categories: sequential statements, selection or conditional statements, iterative or looping statements. Let's learn one by one in detail. In Python, sequential statements refer to a sequence of statements that are executed one after the other in the order they are written, in a sequential order or linear fashion. Sequential statements are simple statements or compound statements that are executed sequentially in the order they appear in the code. This picture includes the default flow of statement and is the simplest one. Statement 1 will be executed first, followed by statement 2 and then statement 3. Here's an example of sequential statements in Python. In this example, the sequence of statements are assigning the value 5 to the variable x, assigning the value 3 to the variable y, adding the values of x and y and storing the result in the variable z, printing the value of a z to the console. The statements are executed one after the other in the order they appear in the code. Sequential statements are the default way of executing code in Python, unless control structures such as loops or conditionals are used to modify the sequence of execution. In Python, selection or conditional statements are used to control the flow of execution based on a certain condition. They allow the program to choose or decide between two or more possible paths of execution based on the value of a condition. In conditional statement, if-else statement is used. In this picture, body of if statement will be executed if test condition evaluates to true, otherwise body of else will be executed. These are also called decision constructs. Let's see an example with if-else statement. In if-else statement, this statement executes one block of code if a condition is true, and another block of code if the condition is false. Look at the example. X equals 3, if x greater than 5 : print x is greater than 5, else print x is less than or equal to 5. In this example, the code inside the if block is not executed because the condition x greater than 5 is false. Instead, the code inside the else block is executed. In Python, iterative or looping statements are used to execute a block of code repeatedly. They allow the program to perform the same task multiple times, without the need to repeat the code manually. The iteration construct means repetition of statements depending upon a condition test. The statements will be executed till the condition is true. As soon as the condition becomes false, the repetition stops. In this picture, the body of the loop will be executed until test expression evaluates to true. For example, while loop executes a block of code repeatedly while a condition is true. X equals 1, while x less than equal to 5 : print x equals x plus 1. In this example, the code inside the loop is executed 5 times because the condition x less than equal to 5 is true. The value of x is incremented by 1 on each iteration of the loop, ensuring that the condition eventually becomes false. In Python, indentation is used to indicate blocks of code that are part of a larger structure, such as a loop, conditional statement, function, or class. Indentation is a mandatory aspect of the Python syntax and is used to group statements together into a single block. Indentation is adding white space before a statement. Leading white space, spaces and tabs, at the beginning of a statement is called indentation. In Python, the same level of indentation associates statements into a single block of code. The interpreter checks indentation levels very strictly and throws up syntax errors if indentation is not correct, that is, indentation error. In this picture, the group of statements belongs to a particular block of code. Decision-making or conditional statements are used to control the flow of execution of a program depending upon the condition. There are 4 types of conditional statements in Python: if statement, if-else statement, if-elif-else statement, nested if-elif-else statement. In Python, the if statement is the easiest method for making a decision and has a similar syntax as other programming languages. If the condition is true, then the indented statement gets executed. The indented statement implies that its execution is dependent on the header. There is no limit on the number of statements that can appear under an if block. If is a keyword, followed by a condition and ended with colon. We can use the condition with bracket also, but it is not mandatory. A statement or statements, block of code, are indented, usually 4 spaces, inside the if statement and are executed only if the condition evaluates to true. Otherwise, the control skips the block of statements inside if statement and only statement 2 will be executed. Let's see an example for if statement. A Python program to check if a number is positive. In this program, the user is prompted to enter a number. The program uses an if statement to check if the number is greater than 0. If the condition is true, it means the number is positive, and the program prints the number is positive. There is no else clause, so if the number is 0 or negative, no message will be printed. This example focuses on a simple concept and provides a straightforward output for positive numbers. Now check the output. The inputted value 78 is a positive number. Next conditional statement is if-else statement. The syntax is if condition colon, statement, s, else colon, statements. The condition is an expression that evaluates to either true or false. If the condition is true, then the code block under if statement will be executed, otherwise, the code block under else statement will be executed. Let's see an example for if-else statement. Determining a sign of a number, if it's positive or negative. In this Python program, the if statement checks if the value of number is greater than 0. If it is, the program prints the number is positive to the console. If the condition is false, it goes to the else part, that is, the number is negative, the program prints the number is negative. In this program, the number is assigned as -5 and hence it prints, the number is negative. Example 2 of if-else statement. Write a Python code to find whether a given number is odd or even. Now look at the Python code on the left side. First line of code prompts the user to enter a number and stores it in the variable num. The int function is used to convert the user input into an integer since the input function returns a string by default. Next code block uses an if statement to check if the number stored in num is even or odd. The mod operator is the modulus operator, which returns the remainder of the division between num and 2. If the remainder is 0, it means the number is divisible evenly by 2 and therefore is even. If the condition num mod 2 equal to 0 evaluates to true, the code block inside the if statement is executed. In this case, it prints a message indicating that the number is even. If the condition num mod 2 equal to 0 evaluates to false, the code block inside the else statement is executed. In this case, it prints a message indicating that the number is odd. So, based on the value of num, the program determines whether it is even or odd and displays the appropriate message to the user. The outputs of checking both even and odd are displayed in the program. Let's see another example for if-else statement. To find absolute value of a number in Python. First line prompts the user to enter a number and stores it in the variable n. The int function is used to convert the user input into an integer. Next code block uses an if statement to check if the number n is greater than 0. If it is, it means the number is positive. In that case, it prints a message followed by the value of n, which represents the absolute value of the number. If the condition n greater than 0 evaluates to false, it means the number is either negative or 0. In this case, the code block inside the else statement is executed, printing a message followed by the negation of n, that is, the positive representation of the number. So, regardless of whether the input number is positive, negative, or 0, the code calculates and displays its absolute value accordingly. Here the absolute value of -75 is 75. Let's see another example for if-else statement. Program to check the divisibility of a number. Now look at the code. The code allows the user to enter two numbers, a numerator n and a denominator d. This code block uses an if statement to check if the numerator n is evenly divisible by the denominator d. The condition n mod d equal to 0 checks if the remainder of dividing n by d is equal to 0. If it is, it means that n is divisible by d. If the condition is true, the program prints a message indicating that n is divisible by d. If the condition is false, it means n is not divisible by d, and the program prints a message reflecting that. Note that the str function is used to convert the numbers n and d to strings before concatenating them with the other parts of the message. The \n is a new line character used to create a line break before printing the message. Now, check the output displayed below. Number 35 is divisible by 7 but number 25 is not divisible by 2. The if-elif-else statement in Python is used when you have more than two conditions to check. It allows you to execute different code blocks based on multiple conditions. The basic syntax for if-elif-else statement is if condition 1 : statements, elif condition 2 : statements, elif condition 3 : statements, else : statements. In if-elif-else statement, each condition is checked in order. If the first is false, the rest is checked and so on. If one of them is true, the corresponding branch executes, and the statement ends. Here else is optional. Number of elif is dependent on the number of conditions. Let's see an example for if-elif-else statement. Python program to find whether a number is positive, 0 or negative. First line asks the user to enter a number and stores it in the variable num. The input function is used to take user input, and the int function is used to convert the input into an integer since input returns a string by default. If num is greater than 0, this is the start of an if statement. It checks if the value of num is greater than 0. Print num is positive if the condition in the preceding if statement is true, that is, num is greater than 0, this line is executed. It prints the value of num followed by the string is positive to the console. Elif num equal to 0. If the condition in the if statement, num greater than 0, is false, the code moves to this line and checks if num is equal to 0. Print num is 0 if the condition in the preceding elif statement is true, that is, num is equal to 0, this line is executed. It prints the value of num followed by the string is 0 to the console. Now let's see the else part. If none of the preceding conditions are true, the code execution reaches this line, implying that num must be less than 0. Print num is negative in the else block, this line is executed. It prints the value of num followed by the string is negative to the console. You can check the output displayed here. Let's see another example for if-elif-else statement. Program to accept salary from the user and calculate the tax payable. First line prompts the user to enter the salary of a person and stores it in the variable salary. The input function is used to take user input, and the int function is used to convert the input into an integer. If salary less than equal to 50,000. This is the start of an if statement. It checks if the value of salary is less than or equal to 50,000. Tax equals 0.05 salary. If the condition in the preceding if statement is true, that is, salary is less than or equal to 50,000, this line calculates the tax amount by multiplying 0.055% with the salary value and assigns it to the variable tax. Elif salary less than equal to 60,000. If the condition in the preceding if statement is false, the code moves to this line and checks if salary is less than or equal to 60,000. Tax equals 0.07 salary. If the condition in the preceding elif statement is true, that is, salary is less than or equal to 60,000, this line calculates the tax amount by multiplying 0.077% with the salary value and assigns it to the variable tax. Elif salary less than equal to 70,000. If the condition in the preceding elif statement is false, the code moves to this line and checks if salary is less than or equal to 70,000. Tax equals 0.08 salary. If the condition in the preceding elif statement is true, that is, salary is less than or equal to 70,000, this line calculates the tax amount by multiplying 0.088% with the salary value and assigns it to the variable tax. Now we look into the else part. If none of the preceding conditions are true, the code execution reaches this line, implying that salary must be greater than 70,000. Tax equals 0.10 salary. In the else block, this line is executed. It calculates the tax amount by multiplying 0.10% with the salary value and assigns it to the variable tax. Finally, this line prints the original salary value and the calculated tax amount to the console. Check the output displayed here. Let's see another example for if-elif-else statement. Grade calculator. To determine your grade based on score. In this Python program, the input function is used to prompt the user to enter their score. The int function is used to convert the input into an integer so that it can be compared with the numerical conditions in the if-elif-else statements. The program uses a nested if-elif-else statement to assign a grade based on the score. Here's how the logic works. If the score is greater than or equal to 90, the grade is set to A. If the score is between 80 and 89, inclusive, the grade is set to B. If the score is between 70 and 79, inclusive, the grade is set to C. If the score is between 60 and 69, inclusive, the grade is set to D. If none of the above conditions are met, the grade is set to F. Finally, the program prints the grade corresponding to the score. In this output, score is 92 and grade is A. Next conditional statement is the nested if-elif-else statement. A nested if-elif-else statement in Python is a structure where you can place one if-elif-else statement inside another if-elif-else statement. This structure is used when you have more complex conditions that require multiple levels of checks. The syntax is if condition 1 : statements, if condition 2 : statements, elif condition 3 : statements, else : statements, elif condition 4 : statements, else : statements. Any number of these statements can be nested inside one another. Indentation is the only way to figure out the level of nesting. Let's see an example for nested if-elif-else statement. Divisibility checker, to check if a number is divisible by 2 and or 3 inch. In this Python program, the input function is used to prompt the user to enter a number. The int function is used to convert the input into an integer so that it can be used in the calculations and conditions of the program. The program uses nested if-elif-else statements to check the divisibility of the number by 2 and 3. If the number is divisible by 2 and 3, it prints the number is divisible by both 2 and 3. If the number is divisible by 2 but not by 3, it prints the number is divisible by 2 but not by 3. If the number is divisible by 3 but not by 2, it prints the number is divisible by 3 but not by 2. If the number is not divisible by either 2 or 3, it prints the number is not divisible by either 2 or 3. Let's check the output for this program. If number is 24, the output will be, the number is divisible by both 2 and 3. But when the number is 27, the output will be, the number is divisible by 3 but not by 2. Thanks for watching. Watch the upcoming videos. Chapter 5, Conditional and Looping Constructs, Part 2, which includes iteration, for loop, range function, while loop, nested loops, jump statements, break statement, continue statement, pass statement, practical implementation. You can check the link in the description box below.